Hello everyone, welcome to the 80 Literary and Jury Charge. We're going to start off with some Latin and French words, and I'm going to give you the words and then I'll read the paragraph, okay? So we've got caveat emptor, caveat venditor, de facto, and de jure. Okay, here's your paragraph. Ready? Caveat emptor means let the buyer beware. When a person buys a product at his own risk, caveat emptor applies. In caveat venditor, the purchaser must be protected from buying mistakes made by the seller. Caveat venditor means let the seller beware. De facto means existing in fact, as distinguished from existing in right. A de facto corporation exists in fact, but has not met all the requirements of the law. To be in total compliance with the law in all respects is to be de jure. De jure means valid or legitimate. Caveat emptor may be subject to modification when a warranty is involved. A de facto corporation is not a legal entity. Okay, I've got an article here on the railroad. Okay. Here we go. For over 200 years, the railroads have played an integral part in the movement of the United States. In 1804, the first steam locomotive that ran on rails was developed. The first American railway to be used was the Delaware and Hudson Canal Company Railroad. This pioneer railroad was used to haul coal. In 1830, the first daily train service operated on the South Carolina Railroad. From these early beginnings, expansion was rapid. Railroads were used to haul freight and passengers. After the Civil War in 1869, railroad tracks were built westward from Omaha, Nebraska, and eastward from Sacramento, California. The tracks were united at Promontory, Utah. Railroad expansion has continued to grow since that time. With the development of modern steam locomotives, the railroads can provide a fast and inexpensive mode of transportation. Okay. We're going to finish up this legal opinion that we started in the previous class. Okay, here we go. However, the state introduced a letter that he had written while he was in jail, in which he referred to the other party's statement. The statement itself tends to show that Paul Cross was aware of what was going on. In addition, there was evidence that he received some of the stolen money. The defendant's intent may be inferred from his conduct, and a fair inference of criminal intent can be raised from his statement. To be sure, much of the evidence in this case was indirect, but this kind of evidence may be enough to support a conviction. The trier of the facts may not indulge in conclusions that are unsupported by any evidence, but the facts in this case show not only a verbal act of aiding in the commission of the crime, but also the physical act of sharing in the proceeds of the crime. The trial judge could disbelieve Paul Cross's version. The facts in this case were sufficient to support a conviction on the theory of party to a crime. Paul Cross's claim of innocence is not consistent with the facts that the trial judge was entitled to believe. Okay, I've got an article here. This is called The Comeback Kid. His arms were severed in a terrible farm accident. John Thompson saved his own life. Now overcoming fear and pain, he's learning how to live it again. Pretty amazing article. All right. Oops. Here we go. Ready? In his family's modest North Dakota farmhouse, John Thompson wanders from the kitchen to the living room and back. His tiny toy poodle, Tinker, barking playfully at his feet. "You think you're real cute, don't you?" John says with a laugh. Then, coaxing the dog onto his lap, his arms hanging rigid at his sides, John uses a knee to lift Tinker up to his face, rubbing his nose in the poodle's soft fur. He says quietly, "It's the only way I can feel him." That John can feel Tinker at all is, by all accounts, a near miracle. 4 months ago, he survived a nightmarish farm accident in which both his arms were torn from his body. The arms were reattached 8 hours later, but John's ordeal was far from over. Though doctors say feeling will gradually return to his fingers, the teenager lives with constant frustration because his fragile, slow-healing arms will not obey his will. He is beginning to come to terms with the physical and psychological scars, enduring the frustrations of rehab, and even testing the subtle perils of sudden celebrity. Thus far, he has struggled with impressive success. The human soul needs heroes, says Dr. Alan Van Beek, John's surgeon, and John meets the bill. John's appointment with this all began about 11:30 a.m. on January 11th, when he was shoveling barley from his father's Ford pickup into the auger, a device commonly used on farms to move grain into feeding bins. As he recalls, he jumped off the pickup, slipped on a patch of ice, tripped on the auger, and fell onto the power takeoff, a swiftly rotating shaft connected from a tractor to the auger. In a split second, the PTO tugged one arm, then the other, into its rapidly spinning blades, flinging John around and around. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the ground, he says. I couldn't feel my left arm. I couldn't see my right arm. I went to pick myself up, and my arms were gone. Since his parents were in Bismarck, 90 miles away, John knew no one could hear, even if he screamed. I thought I was going to die, he says, and I didn't want to die. A cool head was his only hope for survival. He rushed 400 feet to the sliding glass door in the back of the house, tried in vain to use the bone dangling from his left shoulder to nudge it open, and then, blood oozing from the stumps of both arms, ran to the front door, kicked it open, and made his way to his cell phone. Using a pen clenched in his teeth, he pecked out his uncle's number and asked his cousin to send for help. finally, concerned about getting blood on his mother's carpet, he walked to the bathroom, kicked aside the shower curtain, and sank, crying, into the bathtub where he waited alone, but for the company of Tinker until help arrived. By 6:30 p.m., an air ambulance had delivered Thompson to North Memorial Medical Center near Minneapolis, where a microsurgery team led by Dr. Van Beek reattached the limbs that John, despite the loss of half his body's blood, had thought to remind the local ambulance crew to retrieve. Then, as now, John dismisses any notion of heroism. You do what you have to do, he said at the time, propped in a hospital bed with no idea what the future might offer. I'm trying to figure out how I'll finish high school, if I can drive again. Today, less than 3 months after John returned from the hospital to his family's 1,600-acre farm on the outskirts of Herdsfield, North Dakota, the 18-year-old high school senior has already found answers to many of his questions with the help of a specially equipped 2012 Honda Accord sold to him at cost by a local dealer. John can, in fact, drive again with his left hand secured in a customized steering device, speeding along a road to school in the shiny black Accord. John marvels at the attention he's received and the money. Admirers have sent some $600,000 in donations for his future. His medical bills are covered by the family's insurance. My life is so much better than it's ever been, he says, still reveling in his newfound fame. It's hard to explain, but there are more possibilities. The world seems more open to me. Best of all, on May 17, he graduated with his classmates from Bowden High School. Okay, and there's more to this article, but I'm going to stop there. We'll finish it in the next class, the next 2 classes. All right, I'm going to read a paragraph to you on legal, and you're going to hear marriage, cohabit, matrimony, marital, separation, maintenance, annulment, common law, alimony, palimony, agreement, spouse, consolation, or conciliation, I'm sorry, divorce, dissolution, and I think that's it. Yeah, so I'm sorry about that. It's not consolation, it's conciliation. All right, here is your paragraph. Ready? The marriage relation between husband and wife is called matrimony. A valid marriage is performed by an authorized public official. A common law marriage is created when a man and woman cohabit as husband and wife. Palimony laws are in existence in many states where common law marriages are no longer recognized. An annulment treats a marriage as though it never existed. An agreement by a husband and wife to live separately and still remain married is a separation. The actual termination of a marriage by divorce is called dissolution. Grounds for divorce vary from state to state. Conciliation procedures are an attempt to resolve marital conflicts. Alimony is the provision for support and maintenance of a spouse. Okay, and that concludes our 80 jury charge and literary. Have a great day.